He was standing nearby before I even noticed he'd stepped closer. I was still facing the light fixture when his hand hovered near the small of my back, casual like he belonged there. I stayed still, caught between surprise and something I couldn't quite name, because some part of me wanted to see where this would lead before we get into it. If you've been here before, you know the drill. Quick, like hit subscribe, and if this is your first time, welcome. You picked an interesting place to start. Thanks for being here. All right, let's begin. The apartment was quiet except for the soft echo of our steps across the polished wood floors. My heels tapped lightly as I moved ahead, notepad in hand. The fabric shifted gently as I moved light against my side. The air inside was still and faintly cool. I scanned the crown molding, the light fixtures staying focused. He walked a few paces behind, saying little at first, just the occasional detail about square footage, the view, the type of insulation landlord things. I made a note about the boiler, then something about the water pressure. As I peeked into the pantry, angling for a better look, his voice reached me from behind. "I like your earrings," he said. "They catch the light." I smiled without turning thanks. They were a gift. A pause. Then as I stepped into the living room, "You have a nice voice. It carries without slowing." I glanced over my shoulder. "I get that." Sometimes we moved through the space. I asked about the windows. He answered, "You carry yourself like someone who's seen good places." He added as I crossed into the dining area. That time I looked at him. "That's a strange thing to say." He didn't blink. Not meant to be. I let it pass. My fingers tugged one of the blinds down. Gently, another note back to business. He led me toward the master bedroom. Wide windows, a view of the trees just beyond. I crossed to the far side, standing where the sunlight softened through the glass. "Could be nice," I murmured. He watched me for a moment longer than necessary. And nodded toward the hallway. "Let me show you the light fixture. It's been updated." I went first, stepping ahead through the hallway. The hallway narrowed more than I expected, clean and simple in design, as I stepped beneath the fixture and tilted my head to study it. I felt the quiet narrowness settle around me. A floorboard creaked faintly behind. Then his voice low in a step behind me. "You really would make this place feel different." I didn't turn. I stayed exactly where I was, facing the wall, the air still between us. Something about his posture had changed, less reserved, and I stayed there a moment. The hallway quiet behind me. The hallway felt narrower now, as if the walls had edged closer the moment I stopped. I heard his voice shift behind me, quiet but close. His voice had been soft, but the air between us was softer still. I raised my hand to the light above, letting my wrist rotate just enough to study the fixture. "It's brighter than I expected," I said, my voice even. He didn't answer right away. Instead, I felt it, the shift. He stood quietly just behind me, then the touch, a hand resting lightly at the middle of my back. "Sorry," he said quietly. Narrow hallway. I stayed still. The hallway air felt warmer now, still and quiet. I turned my head slightly enough to catch his face in my periphery. He wasn't looking at the fixture. "You'd make this space feel like home," he said again. Slower this time, like the meaning had changed, mid-sentence. I didn't smile, didn't flirt. I looked at him. Only him. He didn't look away. He didn't step back. I could have taken a step forward, broken. The moment turned it into nothing. But I didn't. I stayed still, unsure whether to move. Yet, his hand adjusted slightly. The movement, easy to miss my chest, felt tight. My breathing slower than before. A quiet tension had settled in me, focused and alert. He was standing closer now, only a step away. I was aware of how near he stood, even without touch. I didn't step away. "Is this all right?" he asked, quieter than before. I didn't speak. His hand rested briefly at my side. I turned toward him, not sharply, just enough to meet his eyes, steady and clear. His eyes didn't search mine, they stayed locked, certain, steady, already holding the answer. And when he glanced toward the hallway, I moved with him without needing a word. I paused near the edge of the hall, the quiet between us. Holding steady as he stepped close, the stillness settled in. Neither of us breaking it, No words, just a stillness between us, shaped by the quiet hallway and the weight of everything unsaid. He leaned closer, his expression still watching, not pressing. I felt the quiet from him more than anything else. I stayed quiet, not sure what I was waiting for. A flicker of tension moved through me. Not sharp, just noticeable enough. I tilted my head slightly, saying nothing. His fingers brushed my sleeve, adjusting it gently, then pausing. I reached out fingers, finding the edge of his jacket without thinking. He lingered beside me, quiet and still. We weren't speaking, just matching each other's pause. The moment stretched a little longer than expected, like something important was just out of reach. It caught me off guard. Natural, unexpected, but somehow familiar. We stood quietly, our timing oddly matched. My hand stayed near his shoulder, keeping us close. I leaned in just slightly, and he met me there without hesitation. His hand settled at my side, steady and calm. Something in me paused, unsure, weightless waiting. We both felt it, the pull of something neither of us tried to name. He stayed close, his presence steady beside me as my fingers caught the edge of his collar. He shifted with me, the warmth between us, deepening, drawn forward by something we weren't naming. The hallway behind us faded from thought. All I noticed was how near he was and how little else seemed to matter. His jacket slipped through my fingers and fell somewhere behind him. The fabric of my blouse had shifted loose now across my shoulders. I didn't adjust it. I only held tighter to the back of his shirt as he paused near my collarbone, the closeness between us growing quieter. By the second he pulled back just enough to look at me. One hand rested at my side. The other reached lower, not to lift but to steady me. A silent question in his motion, like he wasn't asking aloud what we already understood. I didn't step away. He guided me gently toward the window. The glass felt cool at my back, pressing through the fabric. My shoulders settled there, the contrast grounding me. He stood in front of me now, hands calm and certain, while everything else seemed to soften around the edges. The warmth between us grew quickly, not rushed, but unmistakably present. My arms found their place behind his shoulders, holding him close. His hands moved to my waist and stayed there, anchoring us in the stillness. We didn't speak. The moment was already full. His hand moved near the edge of my sleeve again, fingers brushing along the fabric where it had slipped. I let it fall naturally from my arms. Unnoticed, he didn't look away, and as the space between us tightened, his attention followed the curve of my shoulder. Nothing hurried, nothing spoken. He leaned in with purpose, not urgency. His presence lingered near mine, each shift subtle and unforced when his face brushed close to the hollow. Just beneath my shoulder, I noticed myself breathing slower, not consciously, just naturally. The sunlight streamed through the window beside us. It caught the edges of my hair and stretched across my face, turning everything still into something bright and suspended. He leaned in further now. My hand stayed around his back, holding gently. The steadiness in him didn't falter. His hand rose again, not quickly, not forcefully, just following the shape of the moment when it settled against my side, just beneath where the fabric rested. I leaned toward him instinctively, not from urgency, but from how natural it felt. A quiet breath left me unintentional, almost unnoticed. I stayed close, grounded in the weight of the silence between us. His own breath shifted, a soft inhale, then stillness. One of his hands remained behind my back, steadying me while the other hovered in place, not asking for more, just staying present. My fingers reached for his hair, settling there with care, keeping him near. Without speaking, we moved slightly, adjusting to one another in real time. Nothing practiced, just small shifts, each one matching the next. He murmured something I didn't fully catch, and I didn't answer out loud. I just rested my cheek near his temple, staying there unhurried. The windowsill creaked faintly beneath me as we found our balance. Not desperate, not slow, but full of something we weren't explaining. His breath brushed past my shoulder. Mine followed quiet. Grounded, my grip held firm. His arms wrapped around me just a little tighter. I leaned in, and he was already there. Already steady. Already still, I tipped my head back slightly. My eyes closing on instinct for a moment, I didn't speak, I didn't move. And in that quiet pause, everything else faded. Be honest. If it had been you, would you have waited or said something first? Tell me in the comments, I'll be reading. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. Thanks for watching.